gloves are off. The show on business and success, and I have a phenomenal guest here today. I was actually really excited to have Kim in. We have Kim Parnell, who is, I gotta read this because you got so much stuff on your list. You're the co-founder and chief evangelist.
Yeah.
My chicken scratch sometimes. My evangelist of Blank.
Yeah.
Okay. A groundbreaking technology that builds apps automatically without code.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Professional speaker, fitness enthusiast, and a startup veteran with a successful exit.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you tell us about that?
Okay. Well.
Which one first?
Yeah. I guess.
Okay. Give us a history first. Why don't you?
Well, the history is varied. I mean, it spans over, I guess, the adult portion of my life, but I'm originally from Windsor, Ontario, and I moved to Toronto about 10, 12 years ago now. But I come from a wide variety of interests and backgrounds, so I went to school for science.
Okay.
Didn't actually finish school, though. I just kind of went for a little while. And I also have a lot of experience in musical theater, entertainment. I danced my whole life. I acted. I did some, stage performing. And through that, I also developed a very big love for entrepreneurship and business.
Okay.
But that was not really the clear path. I actually thought that going into business meant you couldn't get into anything else. Because when you're in school...
Which is typical, though. I mean, that's typical as a business owner.
To try to get into university for what I was looking to do originally, which was maybe neuroscience or becoming a doctor or surgeon, the grades that you need to get into those programs are pretty extreme. Like, you need to be up in the 98th percentile of your class, and to get into business, it's like 60.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that's what you did if you were just too dumb to do anything else. Now that I'm in business, I realize that that is not at all true, and to be successful in business is actually one of the hardest things to do. So I was proved wrong.
So what do you currently do now?
So I'm the co-founder of Blank, as you mentioned,
yeah.
and Blank is a platform that automates app development.
Okay.
So what I do, I guess my role, I kind of straddle the line between our market, so the entrepreneurs and the people that are looking to build apps using a tool. That's where I came from. I was looking to develop an app and I didn't know how to code myself.
Okay.
So I talk to them and I learn about their struggles and what they're trying to do. And not only that, but how they express what they are trying to build, so that we can then take that information and create a platform that does all the coding for them without them needing to know a single technique or a single language.
So basically, is it just like a software that you get? Is that what it is? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a SaaS platform, so
Okay.
it's still in development. So when it does launch, you'll be able to go on to the platform and just express what you're looking to build, and we have code that writes code. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the new wave.
Twice today, I'm speechless. That is awesome.
Thanks.
So
We
who
believe
came
so.
up with that? You actually, like, that is amazing.
Well, I have a partner. So my
Yeah,
partner's
yeah.
name is Paul, and we came together first because I was looking to develop an app.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually had already built an app. I had contracted someone to do it. I went through the different ways of trying to get an app built. I looked into hiring overseas. I looked into doing it myself. And I'm fairly intelligent, I think. I'm sure I could have gone through the entire route of building the app myself. But I just realized that in maybe the 6 months or the year that it would take me to not only learn how to code, but to actually build up my app, that's time I'm losing on the marketing side, and time I'm losing on trying to, first of all, figure out if it's even a viable business, look for the market, look for the customers. So I decided to pay someone to build it, spent a lot of money. It still took about 6 months. And the person was a friend. They weren't trying to screw me over in any way. They did the best job that they knew how to do.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you are really focusing on a problem and a project, you think about new things you want to add every single day. So by the time 6 months had passed and it was in the app stores, some of my friends and family were all excited and they wanted to share it. And I was looking at it like I was embarrassed to even tell people, not because the app itself was bad,
The
but
true
because,
business owner.
I had so many new ideas by then. 6
Yeah.
months had passed. That's a lifetime in business. So I was seeking out ways to try to improve the product. That costs a lot of money. So I looked into getting a co-founder, and that's where I met my partner, who had already developed a back-end tool. So I won't get too technical for this conversation, but an app has a front end and a back end. And he had this platform that automated the back-end development. So we came together, and the intention was to use his tool to continue to develop the app that I had created. But after working together for 3 or 4 months, I just started thinking one day that if this product, his product, solves my problem as someone who is a non-technical founder, I'm not the only person that has that problem.
For sure.
So we could solve that problem for a lot
I can relate
of people.
that.
Yeah. So, we thought at first, let's see what we can do with this back-end tool. but you still needed to know how to code the front end. So you still needed to know JavaScript, or you needed to hire a developer to build your front end. But we thought maybe there's a way to automate the entire process. And that's not an easy challenge, in case you're wondering.
Sure,
it's something that some even very large players in the software world have been working on for decades, to be able to literally turn language into code. It's not easy at all. So we've been looking at that for the last 2 years, and we've found a way to do that. My partner, is like the definition of creative genius. Like, you know, one of these people that you picture locked in a room with a whiteboard and comes out and the world is changed because of what he wrote on there. That's my partner. So, you know, his innovation and his development with my research and literally being our customer has put us in a position, I think, to really be able to tackle this problem, and that's what we're doing now.
Wow. Now, so for the average business owner that's hearing this right now or viewing this, is it something that's going to be affordable? Is it like a monthly fee? How is this going to work out?
Yeah.
Because apps are usually like thousands of dollars to get done, right?
Yes, and truthfully, it's almost unbelievable when I have these conversations. Sometimes we wonder if we should just make it more expensive so people believe us. Because as you know, but not everyone knows, developing an app, it's a huge range. Sometimes it can cost on the low end if you're able to contract someone overseas and you actually get a product you like, maybe $5,000 to $10,000, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, I paid close to $50,000, a little bit over, and that's still very inexpensive when you're talking about North American developers. And if you go into some larger scale projects, easily that number can cross $100,000, $250,000. So our platform is going to be a SaaS product, which means software as a service. So you pay monthly. You do not pay a single cent until your app hits the App Store, which is unheard of. Like right now, you pay first, and then you cross your fingers that what you get is something that you even want to use. So with ours, you don't pay anything until you actually are happy with your product. And the monthly fees, we haven't set all the prices in stone yet, but they'll range somewhere between, you know, maybe around a $20 hobby app type of thing to over, you know,
that's it?
over $500 on the enterprise side. And that's all based on your number of users and also the storage. So if you have an app that takes a lot of storage with photos or videos, you know, we'll have to charge for that because that costs us money. But from a development standpoint, it is a magnitude different, and it's so much cheaper that, like I said, people don't believe it.
And does it is it self-learning? Is it going to because it's self-programming? So I would imagine it's going to.
So that's one of the things that, you know, we don't get into too much because there's still a lot of work to be done in that area.
For sure.
But yeah, so one of the differences is if you're comfortable changing settings in, you know, maybe in your Gmail or in other areas, and if you've ever used any type of template for a website or anything like that, any one change you make has zero effect on the rest of the website, right? You change, you change a setting and you have to know what else you have to do to make everything work. Our platform is intuitive and it's thinking in the way that a developer would think. So if you, let's say, want to create a login and you want your people to be able to log in using an email and password, we just know that means you need a lost password feature. So, you know, there are things that the system knows that are programmed into it, and there's things that it will learn as more data comes in and more people start using it.
Wow. Do you now you mentioned at the beginning that getting it into the App Store and Google Play. Do you guys work with the process on it? Like, do you actually work with the customer to? Yeah,
we do everything, all that for you. So we push the app to the stores for you. We do all of the screenshots and everything, which is actually a pretty tedious process because you have to have all the different screens for different sizes. And if you've never done that, you don't realize until you do it, but it's kind of an annoying process. But you do have to have a Google Play developer account and an iOS, an Apple Store developer account, which I think they cost $100 and $25 or something like that per year. That's everybody, though, that wants to submit an app. That's not our fee. And after that, we do help push the app through into the stores. And based on their approval process, you either get in or you don't. But obviously, we guide you through that. And anything built on our platform from a technical side wouldn't have any issue getting in. If some of your own legal documents are not up to date or whatnot, that might be a case. But yeah, we do that all for you.
Yeah, because they're pretty tight to get through, right? So that's.
I mean, I had my app in both stores. Google Play is pretty easy to get into. Usually, it's a 24 to 48 hour process of them to review your app. The iOS, like the App Store, takes sometimes like 10 to 14 days, depending how backed up they are. And they review it a lot more thoroughly. But either or, I mean, unless there's a real technical bug in your app, or there's a problem with your legal documents, usually it's not an issue.
Wow, that's amazing. Do you sleep? I'd be vibrating every night. Like I'd be like, I can't wait to get this out.
It's funny you mentioned that. I actually, I've had a lot of problems sleeping for my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I've been kind of a big insomniac, and I never really used to tell people about that because I just felt like, as a goal-oriented person and as someone who likes to be in control,
Yeah.
that's something I should be able to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Sleeping is something everyone does, but I have learned a lot of tips and techniques to be better at sleeping, and I started talking about it a little bit more openly, and so many people have the same challenge. So
It's an entrepreneur thing, right?
yeah, I mean, sometimes the brain just doesn't want to stop. So,
Or until you're exhausted.
there's times when I've been tired and my eyes are literally burning and
yeah.
I'm still wanting to do stuff.
And
So
people, are you crying? No.
I know, I'm just so tired, but yeah.
That is amazing. Like I'll be your first customer.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
hope that a lot of people that have wanted to do something will feel that way. And we really do feel like the only people right now that are able to push things forward are the people with money or the people with the talent themselves to be able to develop. And how many problems are not being solved because someone with a great solution isn't given the tools they need to even see if it works.
For sure. Well, I mean, as an entrepreneur and a business owner, one of the things that's most intimidating is exactly what you were saying, where you don't know if the app's going to work to what you picture because you're not the designer. You're forking out all this cash, and then what if it flops? Right.
Exactly.
So having an app that actually is self-learning and adapts to your needs and to your subscription needs, that's amazing.
Yeah, and building the app is such a small piece of actually creating a viable business, and everyone gets stopped right at that point. So, I mean, this will mean you have to actually prove your business model works, because now the app is not your excuse to not have a business. But
Where did Blank come from? Where did that?
the name?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get into that in a second. It's actually a funny story.
She's
But
experienced. She's watching the time.
maybe done this once or twice before.
Yeah, just once or twice, I'm sure. We'll be right back.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
All right, we're back with The Gloves Are Off, and we have special guest Kim Parnell, who is the co-founder of Blank, a company that is developing a software for apps.
Yeah, automates app development.
Yes. I just sound like I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's okay. That's okay. It took me a long time to even get that down, so don't worry.
As a marketer, though, I'm stoked. I'm
Good.
excited because what a crazy and ingenious idea.
Well, thank you. And I will say, I mentioned it earlier, but we're not the only ones who have thought of trying to solve this problem. Mm-hmm. It's just really, really hard.
But you're doing it.
Yes.
That's a big difference.
We're on the path, yes. It is a challenge, though, to get people to understand what the platform is. I mean, a lot of times I think in business, everyone wants to be first. Everyone wants to be the groundbreaking novel idea that no one's ever heard of. But when your idea really is novel and it is so out the box that there's no reference point, that's actually really hard. And you have to do the job of educating everyone as to what your idea is and what the platform or what your business is going to do. Whereas if there are competitors or there's someone else in the space already, you can use that as a reference point and say it's kind of like this, or it's like this but better because of this reason.
For sure.
So I think sometimes having competitors is actually a really good thing.
Yes.
Would have made my job a little easier, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So I know you do this, right? I also seen you speak.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't personally seen you speak, but I've seen you on video. You've spoken with some pretty incredible people.
Yes, I have been fortunate in that, yeah, and have a couple events upcoming as well with some big people, and hope that just continues on. So
For sure, for sure. You want to talk about that?
sure,
or?
yeah. So
No.
I mean, I think the speaking thing, it kind of came naturally because, as I mentioned, have an experience in entertainment. So I came from doing a lot of onstage work. Being in front of a camera is not a nerve-wracking experience for me. I actually feel very comfortable on a stage. So having that type of background, and then being a female in tech, which is, kind of buzzworthy these days, it led me to some opportunities where they invited me to speak, and based on those, and I guess that they went well, that just kind of snowballed and turned into more opportunities. So I'm happy to take them right now. This allows me to go out and talk about what we're doing and talk about what we're working on. And also, I think in marketing, it's kind of like the old school billboard where, you put something up and then everyone that is interested or attracted to it, they come to you. Versus trying to go one to one to one to one, that is very inefficient and very time consuming. So with content, it's one of those great things that it lives forever. You can create your content, you can put it out. Maybe not every single thing you do is going to produce a lot of return within that day or within that week. But as you keep building and growing your audience and people start looking and seeing different things you've done over a period of time, then you are able to use those pieces that you've created to continue to build your audience forever. And they just start coming to you.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We found that happening, and it's been great.
That's amazing. I watched one of your videos, so I know you got a huge background in TV. You said you were on Rogers as well?
So I worked with Rogers actually in the last few years,
Okay.
More so as a entrepreneur or as a small business expert. So Rogers has launched some campaigns to do small business advice and talks and things like that. So I've worked with them more so in the last few years, but I've hosted a couple shows, kind of random. Like I hosted a DIY show. I hosted a food and wine show that we filmed in Hungary.
I saw that.
Which is funny because I'm actually Hungarian, but they didn't know that when they contacted me because my last name is not Hungarian.
Can you speak it?
Not really. I wish. My mom was fluent and her whole side of the family was, but my dad didn't speak it. So I think Canadian immigrants, they kind of go one way or the other where they, maybe because they don't know how to speak English, everyone in the family speaks the native language, or sometimes when they come here, they just want to be Canadian. So they, speak English outside of the home. And yeah. So with that, the Hungarian, unfortunately, didn't come down to my generation. I tried when I was there, but it's a tough language.
For sure. I was watching one of your recent videos, and it was one of the reasons why we originally connected, where you were talking about being a female entrepreneur and what you realize of being transparent and being yourself, because you actually originally came with a certain front where your friends started calling you out on it. What's that like? Yeah,
so I was just at Startup Fest. I just came back late last night, and there were, thankfully, quite a lot of females represented, I thought, anyway. And amongst the ones that I got to know and the ones I already knew, I saw this happening. So just to refresh for those people who didn't see the video that you're referencing, there was a time, because I had a business before. I had a commercial cleaning business.
Okay.
So service business I started when I was very young. I was 22 when I started that business. So you're dealing with a lot. It's more like old school business. So you're going into stores and you're going into office buildings. And I don't even know in our entire time, maybe there was 1 to 5 like women who hired us, but everyone else was male and much older. And I looked very young at 22. I looked probably 16 or 17. So I had this perception that I had to talk with a certain voice and come in there and be like, hi, I'm Kim, like just put on this almost a front. And in the beginning, I think it was something that I told myself I had to do, but then it became such a habit that that's just what I did. And people around me who would see me in different environments, they would notice and say, you're acting weird. Like, why are you acting like that? And then in other situations where I was just being myself, I got a better reception for just being how I am naturally. So then I started to transition that into business and started to be more myself, whether that is really energetic or, just friendly or outgoing. And that gave me a better reception. So when I was at Startup Fest, I saw some of the same things happening with some of the female entrepreneurs there, where I would engage with them just like we're just talking, sitting, waiting for another event to start or whatnot. And then if they got up and pitched, it's like they did this weird voice where their voice went higher, or they're like, hi, and I'm like, why are you doing that? You're doing what I used to do, you know, like that's the voice. You're doing this like fake voice. And I think it's just something that until we start to see the positive things that come from just being ourselves, we won't be convinced. So I just would encourage people to like try and maybe what you feel are low risk situations. So maybe it's just a talk you're giving amongst a small group, or maybe you're going to talk to a school, or, you know, you're doing something where it's not, you know, $100,000 contract on the table, but you're trying something new and see how it goes. And then little by little, I think people will start to realize that there are a lot of people who are like them.
For sure. How do you find the reception being someone who is of influence, being female? Because I know you were talking about one day having a hater, talking about your history too. Because I think it's really great what you're doing, what you're pushing out. What's kind of your perception of what's happening?
It's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Like, things kind of snowball. They go a little slow at first, and then you're wondering if it's working, and then as things start to build, it starts to build really fast. And as I said, we're putting a lot of stuff out online, and that is allowing people that feel the same way or think similarly to find me and to find us. And it's been interesting because I get a lot of people that reach out. I have some people through Instagram or other mediums that have become friends. You know, we will talk, and I think that social media has been really great for that. As much negativity as people will spread about social media, especially for the younger generations, even younger than myself, I think that there are a lot of positive elements.
For sure.
Because some people might feel very alone. Even in a city like Toronto, or in a really big market where they may be, some of these younger people and older people alike feel there's not really anyone around them that thinks like they do. But on something like Instagram or YouTube, you can find a lot of people that are of your own tribe. Yep. And can start to connect that way. So that's happened a lot, and I'll get a lot of people reaching out saying, oh, you know, you're really weird, you're like me. And that's actually a huge compliment.
An entrepreneur.
You know, I take that as a huge compliment. So I have begun to form relationships with a lot of people all over the world. And then as that grows, really interesting things have happened, and it's flattering and, you know, humbling at the same time. Like, there are people that have now written articles about me, or someone will share something and, you know, promote me without me even asking them to. And that type of reception, to me anyway, just makes me believe that this is really the right path. You know, like, we are connecting with the right people, and people are seeing what we're doing, and hopefully it's inspiring them to go out and do what they want to do, and, you know, help everyone out.
For sure. And the bigger you grow, of course, the more susceptible you are to other people that like to. Right?
Yeah, like, you can't put yourself out there and not expect there to be some people that don't agree with you.
For sure.
Or that think that you're, you know, not being who you are, or whatever the case may be. But I believe that if you have no haters, if you have no one trying to call you out, you're probably not doing anything interesting.
Yes,
You're playing it way too safe. So bring it on. I'm happy. Like, anyone, and truthfully, anyone who wants to waste their time, you know, commenting something negative, that just makes me laugh, because I'm like, you're spending your time.
It takes time to do it still.
For sure. Yeah. Like, it takes your time to sit there and type something negative when, like, that's almost flattery in and of itself.
I never looked at it that way.
Like, you're spending time. You could be doing something better with your time, you know? Maybe you need to go, like, cook dinner or something, but instead you're going to comment on my photo. So, sure.
What's some of your thoughts about your circle of influence, the people you're around?
Do you mean with, like, the people, or, like, the kind of
Well, I
group?
think every day, like, I mean, you obviously, being an entrepreneur, being an influencer, you have to protect who you let in your space and your environment that's around you. So what's some of your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think your people that are close to you, or, you know, your circle of friends, your group, is really important. And as you, I don't want to say as you outgrow your friends.
You
but,
can say it. It's the truth.
You know, like, there will be people that you might have had in your life for a long period of time, sometimes by choice and sometimes by, you know, by blood. Maybe they're your family. But you do also start to find people that are like you that maybe you never knew before. And I always say, like, some people will say, how long have you known this person? Or do you really know them? And I believe relationships.
Sorry, I hear this all the time.
Right? Like, someone will say, oh, but, like, you've only known this person for 6 months, or you only just met this person. And maybe that's coming from someone that you've known for 16 years. But relationships build because of intention.
Yes.
So, if you put intention behind building a relationship, you can build a relationship much quicker and much deeper than you would just by the sheer number of days that have passed.
Plus, you almost get like thick skin, so you can get a sense of people too. Like,
Totally.
if somebody is there to use you for what you got versus who you really are, you can feel it, right?
Yeah, and there's also this weird thing happening, and I think some people are taking advice that other influencers are giving in the wrong way, where they're almost like ship jumpers. Like, they'll see someone kind of climbing up a little bit and they'll want to come over here, and then all of a sudden they're like over there, and then they're jumping all over just trying to maybe
and then at the end
ride
they
the
got
wave.
nowhere.
Then they get nowhere. Yeah.
I find too, like you had mentioned, you were kind of sensitive on that about with friendships and stuff like that. But I've always believed that people come in and out of your life for a reason, and sometimes they aren't there for the full journey.
Totally,
right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, you're going one way and sometimes they don't always see it, and it's okay. Like, I mean, if you don't see eye to eye, it doesn't mean you hate the person. It's just like, I got to spend time elsewhere.
Totally. Yeah.
I agree. We got to take a break. We'll be right back.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV Network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
And we are back with The Gloves Are Off with yours truly, Grant Browning. And we have special guest Kim Parnell, who is a coach. You're a coach as well, right? Because
like mentor?
Yeah, mentor.
Not
Sorry.
like a basketball coach.
I screwed it up. It's all good.
No. As long as we're on the same page.
Same page. Okay, so she's a mentor. Sorry, I'm screwing it up again. Co-founder of Blank, professional speaker, fitness enthusiast as well. I know you had mentioned too, you were mentoring somebody recently, and you were talking about people being more afraid of saying I don't know versus lying.
Yes.
I really didn't like that, because a lot of people, it hit home because I realized that's what people do. You want to?
Yeah. So I think this happens in a lot of situations, and I guess I'll start with just regular conversation. Mm-hmm. You might be talking to a friend or a business partner, and oftentimes people will just start fumbling and saying anything they can, even lying at times, rather than just saying, I don't know. I don't know is a valid answer. If you don't know something, that's okay. And there are times when my business partner and I talk, sometimes it's, I don't know. Sometimes it's, I don't know if I don't know. Like, just give me a second. I got to think about it. Sometimes it's something you haven't thought about before, So saying I don't know is, to me, like, it's almost akin to saying I'm wrong or I'm sorry. It's one of those things where just a human to human, like, we have empathy. So if someone says, I don't know, what more can you say? You just say, okay. So what can we do about that now?
And I think there's more merit to actually admitting that you don't know versus the ego that kicks in sometimes, and is like you try and come up with something, or they lie.
Yeah, and in some situations that can really screw you over, almost legally at times. So in the startup world and in entrepreneurship, if you are in a situation where you're pitching, or if you're talking about your company, you're talking to investors, or you're talking to other business partners, and they're asking you questions, if you are lying, or if you are trying to just make stuff up on the spot, and the real answer is that you actually don't know, they will find that out. And that is going to look way worse and may even get you into big trouble or lose you $1 million investment. When at the end of the day, when you're doing something new and you're founding a company, there's lots of things you don't know. So, like there's ways to answer that question in a way. Maybe it is just saying, I don't know. Maybe it's saying, thank you for that point. That's something we definitely need to look into. There's different ways that you can go about answering the question that are not lying or just skirting around it. Because people can see through that, especially people that deal with asking a lot of questions.
For sure. No, I fully agree on that. Question. I know that you've spoken with quite a few big names. Did you ever think that you would get to that point?
Yes. I will say
really?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe I'm a little different in that regard, because I know a lot of people will say, I never believed this would happen to me, or I never thought all these things would lead to one another. And it's not like I had a strategic plan from when I was 12 until this point, but I definitely saw a very big picture. And I didn't believe that, or I believed that I was able and capable to do really crazy big things. A lot of times I didn't speak about it because, especially being from a small town and where some of those views were considered, people that love you, they don't want you to be disappointed. So sometimes, people will say, oh, just be more realistic, or think about other things that are a little more reliable. But my thought was always that I'm capable of doing anything. And my mom was really great for that, because maybe she just didn't want to argue with me or something. But whenever I would say I'm going to do something that sounded pretty crazy and wild, she just agreed with me. She was like, yeah. And she would even tell other people. She would tell people that I was going to be a doctor during the week. I was going to do brain surgery during the week. And I was going to dance on stage as a professional dancer on the weekends.
Okay.
And this would be, she would introduce me like this when I was 7 or 8 years old. So I had this idea that these kind of crazy things were possible. I don't know if that's possible, but, so yeah, I do just keep setting the bar higher and higher and higher. And I do believe that I'm able to get to those levels. And I guess I'm strategic in a lot of things, in some things that I do. So with things like Haste and Hustle and speaking with different people, I saw the potential that could come from events like that. I came into that event kind of late in the game, and I reached out to the person that was running it, and I offered my help. I offered to do that completely for free.
Oh, nice.
Nothing was guaranteed to me, but I just had a feeling that if I got myself around some of those people and I worked hard and I helped them out and I was myself, that things would fall into place, and it did. So
good lesson there is to be yourself.
Totally. And also to not just do things that are guaranteed to work, right?
Sure.
Like sometimes there is a very clear paved path, and sometimes a bunch of people have been there, and it's very easy to say, okay, if I do A, B, C, D will happen. But if you want to be really creative and you want to be really innovative, you can't follow those paths that hundreds of thousands of people have followed. So you need to look for exceptions. You need to look for ways to hack the system. And go off on a tangent for just 1 second about hacking, because this is something that I think, when people like to talk about millennials and talk negatively about millennials, this is what I think that they are referring to, because millennials have this idea that hacking means you get everything easier and faster. So when you are going about something, there are a couple elements. There's time, there's energy, and there's money, right? So anything you're trying to do is going to take some variation of time, energy, and money. And if you want to put more money towards something, maybe you can reduce the time. If you want to put more energy, maybe you can reduce the money. But those things have to still add up to the same total. And where people screw up is they think hacking means they're all going to come down. It doesn't work like that. You can hack systems and you can hack things, and I don't mean with software, I mean in life. By doing a really, really large amount of one of those categories. So you can put in a whole lot of time on something and you can move faster than other people because you've hacked it with that. Or you can be really energetic about something and be able to move faster, but you can't get them all down to nothing. It doesn't work like that. So as one comes down, others go up. So in a situation like Haste and Hustle or in some of the other events, I knew that it was going to be a time investment. I knew that it was going to be an energy investment. It wasn't a financial investment for me, but so it was going to be a time investment. It was going to be an energy investment. and there was no guaranteed payoff, but the potential payoff to me was worth that investment.
Well, even who you could have met.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, the connections, the whole thing, right?
So if the potential is there, that, you know, something that can be kind of a quantum leap for you and bring you up a couple levels from where you are, put in the work, put in the time, put in the research. And people who are not willing to do that, to me, are just not entrepreneurs.
For sure. And yeah, that's true. So you had mentioned, like, I'm listening to you right now, and the one thing you'd mentioned about, you know, the typical thinking and stuff like that. Who was the biggest influencer in your life? Because, I mean, even myself looking back, I know I grew up with the same thing, right? Where keep your dreams, you know, within reason and the whole thing. But I had someone that was that special person who actually showed me it was possible. Did you have someone like that?
I don't know if it was originally one person. I mean, I spent some time in LA, Los Angeles, and that was the first time I was kind of out of the bubble of get a good job, you know, go to school, all of that kind of thing. So that was the first time I was seeing people drive around in fancy cars and, you know, being at lunch during the day, young people, and I was wondering what they did. I thought, you know, are they famous? Are they an actor or something? But no, I learned they were entrepreneurs. So that was the first time I saw that you could create literally something out of nothing. You could create money, and you could create a business, and you can create a career out of the air. And after just seeing a couple people like that and coming back to Toronto, I was working towards that. But I'd say more recently, in the last 5 or 7 years, to me anyway, podcasts have been my lifeline.
Yes.
So I listen to a lot of podcasts. Anyone that knows me knows this, almost obsessively. And certain people like Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss, I would say, is probably a huge role model in my life because he is really weird. He does crazy stuff, things that I like doing. He's kind of a biohacker. He tries all kinds of experiments on himself. I do things like that all the time. And he will tell people, and rather than people think this guy's a weirdo, people love him for it, for being a weirdo. And the internet has given us that ability to, again, put things out, and rather than just have to deal with maybe the few 100,000 people or a few thousand people that are in your local area, you can pick out all the different people that think like you across the world.
That think you're normal.
Yeah,
right?
and like that are like you, and they come to you. So that was me for Tim Ferriss. Like, he would put out these ideas and these crazy thoughts, and I'm like, whoa, like we're the same person.
Yeah.
So that, and then other types of people, I listen to a lot of like really deep science thinkers. Like, I like Peter Diamandis and some of these people that are doing crazy things with X Prize. Tom Bilyeu is another one. He does impact theories. So just a lot of these people that are really obsessed with growth and like personal development and learning and becoming a better person day by day. So all of those people I look up to a lot.
It's almost like because that's so available now, it becomes addictive because you want to learn everything.
Yeah, it's very addictive. I drove home from Montreal yesterday, and I was listening to podcasts and things all day. I had a bunch of TED Talks saved up, and they were just go, go, go. And to me, that's very energizing. I'm driving like, oh, I have all these ideas, and I gotta get home, and you know, so it becomes addictive. But once you are using your brain and you're learning and you're thinking, why would you want to stop?
Who's your biggest inspiration?
I don't see. I kind of have a problem with favorites, with like one of something, because I think there's different people for different things. But I mean, Steve Jobs, love him or hate him, Steve Jobs built the most iconic business of our lifetime and probably of the world.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, he created such a loyal following, and he was able to cultivate that tribe mentality around a product, and that's kind of similar to what we're trying to do. So I do look up to what he was able to do there. And people that I've already mentioned, like I really do like a lot of the stuff Tim Ferriss has done. I like Gary V, obviously has been a big influence. He is very blunt with how he talks.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. Like, you know, there's no need to be honest. You think you're helping people by being honest sometimes. You think you're being nice, but in a way, you're actually hurting them more. And I think the problem is a lot of people can't take honesty, or they get really offended. But if we can just start to look and listen for the facts, and if the honesty is delivered in a caring way, then I think everyone would be a lot better off.
I think in today's age too, like when you listen to the speakers, I had this conversation with another entrepreneur a couple of days ago, and he was telling me, I'd love to get into motivational speaking. I'd love to get into speaking in general, or even like teaching in schools. And he said, my biggest fear is I'd be too honest. And I'm like, but today's day and age, transparency is the thing, right?
Totally.
Like, I mean, when you're hearing people like Tony Robbins, who has been in the scene for 30 years, and he's cursing and swearing on stage and just telling you as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, people appreciate it now. Because, I mean, let's face it. I mean, the old way of thinking where TV was so polished and so, like, you couldn't curse. I mean, saying a small... I can't think of a word offhand right now. But, I mean, you said the wrong thing. People were like that. I remember the first time I was on stage talking and I said shit for the first time, and people are like, I'm like, oh, I guess you're not supposed to say that, right? But now, I mean, when you hear what happens on stage, it makes you more real. It makes you like you were saying at the beginning, it's who you are instead of trying to be like, I remember and I know we're out of time. I remember one of my first mentors taught me the difference between on stage and off stage. Like, it was so different, and to me, it was so discouraging. Right? Because I looked up to this guy, and then I got a chance to work with him at his house, and I'm like, wait a minute, the stuff you're talking on stage and the stuff you're doing now is two different things, right? So, I mean, nowadays, I think that the people who are so transparent are the ones that are getting all the exposure.
Completely. Yeah. And, I mean, they use that line that says, never meet your idols. Right.
Yes.
But I think that now, with a lot of the people being more authentic, that's less and less true, because if you're being real, then it's actually very awesome to meet your idols. It's only when they are, you realize that they're fake.
It's true. It's true. Wait, you're getting on a tangent. We got to stop. Okay. We'll be right back.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV Network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're in tune with The Gloves Are Off with special guest Kim Parnell, who is the co-founder of Blank. So I know you want to get into a little bit more technology for the last little bit, and also where you're going with things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can start, maybe I'll talk about quickly the show that we're working on.
Yes, for sure.
So we've recently launched, we haven't actually launched an episode yet, but we've recently started filming a show.
Yep.
It's called The Business Behind. And speaking earlier, talking about being authentic, and this has come from just people I've known over the years and people that I've had, not relationships like romantic, but like personal relationships, friendships with, and they are very successful in a certain domain. So maybe they're really big in acting or in sportscasting, or they're an entertainer of some sort, and people know their talent. You know, they respect them for where they have gotten to in that niche. But what they don't realize sometimes is a lot of what goes into becoming that successful in that area is very entrepreneurial. Like, they have built the business of themselves. And just through conversation, I would hear them talk about how they're going to market something, or how they're going to pitch something, or what the strategy is behind a certain launch of a product. And all these things to me were so interesting. And I don't think other people see all that going behind it.
Yes.
And just from my love of podcasts and learning, I always think that a lot of creative ideas are where you take something that is typical in one industry and you apply it to a different industry. And that often works really well because very few people are doing it. So that's what we're doing on The Business Behind. We're talking to people from all different varieties of industry and levels of success, and talking to them more about the personal development and the thinking and the strategy that has gone into building their success.
So is this on podcast or is this YouTube?
It's going to be on YouTube, and we are we're going to be turning the audio into a podcast as well. Filmed 4 episodes already, and we're going to film a couple more this month, and it'll start airing in August.
Okay.
So we had Cabby Richards from Cabby Presents from TSN on there. Dwayne Delves, who founded a company called Body by Chosen.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fitness company, but they've done a great job of building this, again, like a community that supports them and that very willingly will promote the brand and the business. So just talking about a lot of things like that. We had a comedian on there, an author, and a few other really cool people to come. So excited about that one.
For sure. So where can I find it?
It'll be on YouTube. So the address is The Business Behind Show.
Sure.
And I can give you the link and we can put that on there.
in the description.
Yeah, and we have an Instagram that is Business Behind Show as well.
Okay.
And as we start to get some clips and stuff, we'll be posting it on there.
For sure.
Yeah.
I also know, like, we were talking during break that you spoke with Gary Vee. You met him. You're going to be speaking with him again.
Yeah.
What was that like? Because I know for a lot of people, it's like probably in awe, but you probably like, he's just a normal guy, right?
Yeah, and that day, so at Haste and Hustle, which was in February, there was a huge snowstorm, and he was coming in. He was supposed to come in the night before. It wasn't his fault. The flights got delayed. They got canceled eventually, and both him and Casey Neistat got in literally right before Gary had to go on stage. So it was go, go, go. Such fantastic guys, though. They were willing to drive from New York City to Toronto.
Really?
Yeah, because all the flights were canceled.
Okay.
They didn't end up having to do that, thank goodness. They got on a plane in the morning, but it was very fast, him coming in and getting on stage. But he is pretty much how you see him, like he was sure to, of course, be like, okay, where's the mic? Where's this? What do I got to know? What do I got to do? Like, you have to be about the job that you are there to do. You want to make sure you're going to do a good job speaking. But he was also talking to everybody, saying hi to everybody. After his talk, in true Gary style, he was like, let's take a few selfies. Of course, that turned into an hour at least of people trying to take selfies with him. We had to pull him off the stage. Tyler, his assistant, was like, you got a plane to catch. Like, we got to go. We got to go. Yeah. But he just didn't want to leave. He wanted to talk to everybody. So it was fantastic to have him there, and it'll be exciting to have him again in February this year.
And you're speaking there this time.
I am, yeah. So I'm going to be doing a keynote, which I'm excited about. And I think it's also just a really exciting time and situation right now, talking just about where software is going and talking about how different people across the world can almost crowdsource and develop these ideas and then actually implement them. So to turn the conversation just a little bit, I talk a lot about other industries and other mediums that have allowed much more user-created content, right? So if we look at YouTube, or if we look at podcasting or anything, like almost anyone now can start a YouTube channel. Anyone can start a podcast. All you need is like a phone. That's all you need, really, or a little microphone. You can do it from your home if you wanted to. And because of that, we have been blessed with amazing content and amazing knowledge coming from all over the world. And in a website, creating a website is not difficult. If you want to sell something, you go on Etsy. If you want to, there's all these different ways that you can solve a problem, or you can test out your business idea, and you can initiate something if you are ambitious enough to do so. But with apps, that is still a barrier for a lot of people. And there's a huge push right now to teach everybody to code. And I guess I'm a little contrarian in that view, because that to me is never going to work.
Yes.
We are never going to teach enough people to code, and it won't even matter if we do, because we live in a time of instant gratification. We want everything done instantly. So if an app takes 6 months to build, it doesn't necessarily go faster just because you have a lot of people working on it. It's like 9 women can't give you a baby in a month. It's similar.
Well, you never know.
It's kind of similar in software. Like, some things can move faster, but some things can't. Like, they have to be done in parallel, or sometimes certain things have to be built before other things can be built on top of it. It doesn't always work like that. So to just try to make it so more people are coding is like trying to get more people bailing out the water of a flood versus blocking the hole in the first place.
Also, things are evolving too, because look at the app that you're going to be coming out with. That's going to kind of change the whole playing field. It's going to level it, because you don't have to code anymore. You don't have to. And how quick is the turnaround on that, like to do the app itself?
Yeah, so it's extremely fast. But that being said, you have to know what you want. So it's if you have everything planned out and you know where you're going with your app, you could finish it in an hour. But
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right?
the caveat there is that a lot of people, unfortunately, because of the way that the market is right now and the way you get a startup off the ground right now, many people, not because of their own, it's not necessarily their fault, but a lot of people don't think those parts through at first. They think a lot more as an end user. So they'll look at their app with the thought of what is it going to look like, and what screens go where, and how is it, what are the buttons going to look like, and what photos are in the background, where they really should be looking at what's the function, right?
Yeah.
Like what's the end goal? What is the purpose of this app?
Okay.
And where am I going with it? So in turning something that used to take many, many months and tens of thousands of dollars into something that can happen overnight with zero money up front, it sounds amazing, and it is amazing. But there are other issues that come along with that. So people then will have to actually have a viable business. After you have an app, now you actually have to make it work, right? So right now, so many people, their entire focus is on building their app or getting funding to build their app. And because of that, they're doing really weird things. Like they'll look at how to monetize an app by putting in weird advertisements or some like weird way to buy something that has nothing to do with their business, just because they want to show a revenue chart that looks really high so they can present it.
But they're not thinking of the actual user, though.
Right. All they're thinking of is how can I show my app's going to make enough money so that I can go get someone else to give me money to build the app. It's this weird backwards thing where that should never really have to happen, right? Maybe in a lot of apps too, not every app has to turn into a $1 billion company. Right now, a lot of people feel that because investors won't invest in things that aren't going to 10x. They're not going to, like VCs, if we're talking about VCs, they're not venture capitalists. They're not going to invest in companies that aren't giving, or at least they're not hoping that these companies are going to give, a $1 billion return. That's where VCs play. If you're going to create an app that is going to provide $100,000, $250,000 of yearly profit, that's fantastic. That would be a great business for somebody.
Yeah.
But it's not an investable business for a VC. So in order to make it fit the VC model, they do the weirdest things. So anyway, we're hoping to open doors for a lot of people and change the perception a little bit to say you can have a small business that's an app. And by the way, a small business might mean you make $300,000 a year. That's a fantastic business for a lot of people.
That's a good small business.
Right? Like, that's great. So it doesn't mean you have to create some app that's going to try to compete with the biggest players out there. It doesn't need to work like that. So it just changes the economics a lot and opens doors for different types of businesses in the app space.
Wow. How, you mentioned venture capitalists and stuff like that. How difficult is it to get funding from venture capitalists, and in your opinion, is it something that is of value to do? Because you do have to give up a portion of your company then, right?
How much time? Geez, okay.
Yeah, go ahead. It's okay, we can go a couple minutes.
This is a big topic, but I'll start by saying that I don't think you can say it's easy or hard. It's not binary. It really depends on not only the founders, it depends on the product, it depends on where you're going, and it does tie back to, is this business investable? There are a lot of businesses that might seem great, but they're not scalable to the extent that it would need to be for someone to want to give you money to grow that business.
Okay.
Again, VC is looking to play in the neighborhood of, selling that company in 5 to 7 years for $1 billion. Not many businesses can actually hit $1 billion. The market has to be there. There's a lot of factors. But that doesn't mean your business isn't good. It just means it's not a VC business, and that's fine. So I think a lot of people seek out investment because it's trendy. A lot of people seek out...
It's fast.
Well, it's like what people think they need to do because maybe they think this is the only way I'm going to get my app developed or whatnot. But there are a lot of ways to test your product prior to, even if you don't know how to develop an app. You can hack it together with email. You can test it out with literally picking up the phone and calling people and saying, and doing your orders via email or text message or phone, or doing a little landing page website. You can prove your business model and you can acquire customers long before actually having something built.
Okay.
And hopefully you can just use our platform when it's ready. But I think that taking on investment has become very flashy, and it's become the thing that people want to do because it's cool.
We hear a lot of reference to angel funding as well.
Yeah, so angel funding is kind of a step below VC. Previously, angels would invest usually only about $250,000, $500,000. Now angels are investing over $1 million. So that market has changed as well.
So what is an angel funder?
So an angel investor is an investor as well, and they're a little bit different than a venture capital. So a venture capital firm invests other people's money. So they have LPs, like they have limited partners that put money in a fund, and then there are a couple key people that decide how to allocate that money, and they are the ones that you talk to and you pitch to, and they decide where the money goes and how it's distributed. An angel invests their own money. So it's a wealthy person, that usually an accredited investor, that invests their own money into companies. So you're talking with someone one-on-one. So it's just very different, because if that individual person doesn't have experience in your market or isn't interested in what you're doing, they may not want to invest, versus a VC that has a lot more experience in a varied market. And again, just the amount that they invest is different. So angels, like anywhere, some may invest like $50,000 all the way up to $2 million, $2.5 million. I don't think there's an actual ceiling, but that's usually where they play. And then VCs now are investing much larger rounds. You know, it used to be even hard to get $100,000. Now they're throwing like millions of dollars at people. And some people would argue that that's gone down, but you know, we see the investments happening. So there are a lot bigger investments happening, maybe just a fewer people. And sorry, your second question was how hard is it? And what was your second question?
Where do you get it?
Yeah, I thought you had another one on there, but you know, just maybe whether
that was
or not
5
it's
minutes
necessary.
ago.
Yeah, we've been talking. So
yeah,
I think that people need to stop using not having money as an excuse.
For sure.
Find another way to prove your model, and realize again that you don't have to be you don't have to be looking to create the next Uber. You don't have to be looking to create the next Airbnb.
I think that's probably the stigma that's out there, is everybody is trying to be the next Uber or whatever because it's cool.
Yeah,
right?
and the issue is that not everyone can be the next Uber. And it's not because you might not have the skill. It's not because maybe your idea is not good. It's just there are so many things that have to happen and so many things that have to fall into place for that to actually work out. Whereas if you try to go the route of, I'm going to make this a viable business, I'm going to have profit, I'm going to follow these steps, and oh yeah, I also have an app component, and there is a technology piece, and don't go the route of, I'm an app company and I need investment, then you can have a successful business, a couple $100,000 a year in revenue, and not have to worry about money, which is, I think, really what people want.
It's true.
Not everyone wants to take over the world. They just want
Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Come on. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any final thoughts?
I
know you got lots, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, just you know, I'm very excited about the future. I'm very excited about seeing people from all different backgrounds, all over the world, being able to attack problems. I think that's really the only way that we are going to solve some of the big issues that we have. I do really want the playing field to level. I want to see people that are having creative ideas, you know, in South Korea, and people that are, you know, in Northern Canada, and everyone all over being able to attempt to solve problems. And if we can give them the tools to do that, then I'll be very happy.
That is awesome. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe. If you guys are looking for contact information, what's the best way to follow you?
I'd say right now it's on Instagram. That's where I am the most. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's at Kim Big K, like KIMBIGK. You can also find me by that same handle on Twitter. I don't go on there as much, but I'm on there. And then LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, that show will be coming out. And our company is Blank, and the website is getblank.com. All our social information is on there.
I love that. So we'll post the stuff in this YouTube channel, and if you guys have any questions, be sure to put them in a comment box and we can get them answered for you. Until next week, make sure you keep it locked.